Kia ora, my name is Francine Nydam, and I wanted to take this opportunity to welcome you to the presentation of my article summary. The article I chose was called Secondary Online Education, a Review and Synthesis of Central Elements. The main reason I chose this article was after viewing the Ministry of Education's illustrative draft vision for education in 2025, Lifelong Learners in a Connected World. If you recall, it gives an example of a student called Anton who studies mathematics through the Learning Centre at his local marae. Ever since reading this, I've been wondering, in the absence of a mathematics specialist at the Learning Centre, how will students such as Anton have the ability to gain an effective mathematical education? My second reason is that as online charter schools gather momentum with an anywhere, anytime ethos, I can see that online distance learning will become more common. It is these thoughts that have led to my e-learning intervention, which is to create an online distance learning module that will cover the Mathematics and Statistics NCA Achievement Standard 1.10, investigate a given multivariate data set using the Statistical Inquiry Cycle, which is a Level 1 internal with 4 credits. The article was written by Associate Professor Thomas Ryan and Richard Beaulieu, who is an e-learning educator. The two authors are from Ontario, Canada. The article was published in the Turkish Online Journal of Distance Education in January 2009. At the time of publication, the authors wanted to be able to find out what the literature was saying about effective practices in secondary online education. The authors carried out a literature review and synthesized central elements required for effective practices in secondary online education. The first key finding is that online education is now at all levels of primary, secondary and tertiary education. The second is that there are 9 predictors of successful online programs, and the third is that there are limitations with computer-mediated communication. I will expand on these last 2 key points now. The first predictor of a successful online program is strategic intent. And structuring online requires informed goal setting, clear processes and predictable outcomes. This planning should be addressed first and foremost in any e-learning initiative. The key is to start small and evolve slowly. The main problem identified in Ontario, Canada is that due to lack of leadership, its schools have incompatible learning platforms. The second predictor of a successful online program is content. The content must be based on curriculum learning outcomes which are clearly articulated to the student, as well as the expectations for each lesson presented. The content should be engaging and expand on the curriculum expectations, allowing for exploration of online resources, as well as promote interaction between online students and between the student and teacher as well. Competencies with the tools themselves has attributed to the hidden curriculum, which puts some students at a disadvantage. The third predictor of a successful online program is pedagogy. Current learning theories need to be incorporated into delivery models. There needs to be the opportunity for exploration and interaction for the online learner. There must be a human element in the delivery of online learning. Educators must consider how to maximize interaction between the student and teacher online because increased dialogue leads to improved learning. There is a new emphasis on the use of rubrics, which describe proficiency levels rather than raw percentile scores, as well as the importance of discerning between formative and summative evaluation. The fourth predictor of a successful online program is the teacher. Teachers involved in the delivery of online courses must be trained in the nuances of communicating online in the absence of visual or oral cues, which are so helpful in classroom teaching. Teachers must also be provided with adequate training and technical support in the use of the software. Writing teams should be employed so there is more collaboration as opposed to silo building. Teachers require financial compensation and time allowance to complete this proficiently. The fifth predictor of a successful online program is the student. The characteristics of a successful online student are that they are self-motivated, able to structure their own learning, have had previous experience with the technology, have a good attitude towards the subject matter, it suits their learning and temperament styles, and it is self-choice rather than forced choice. Where tertiary students often fit the profile of the successful student, the secondary student or alternative student does not. This requires the need to provide additional supports for students who are unlikely to succeed without them. To maintain and nurture both the program and the students, it is imperative to listen to and act upon feedback from online students. The sixth predictor of a successful online program is assessment. The necessity of teacher feedback throughout the learning process is just as vital in an online environment as it is in the classroom. Assessment needs to be ongoing and mostly formative in nature. Clear expectations and the assessment tools need to be given prior to the start of an assignment. Where practical, exemplars need to be given as models of good work. Assignments should be returned in a timely fashion. Feedback should be positive in nature and opportunities to improve should be given so that the student meets the expectations. Students should be given a variety of assessments and, when possible, choice in assignments that reflect various learning styles. Assessments should reflect, to the extent possible, authentic tasks which are based on real-world experiences. The seventh predictor of a successful online program is support. One of the reasons given for high attrition in distance learning is the lack of support of the learner. Research has listed several supports that will enhance a virtual learning initiative. Because online learning is a new experience for most students, an initial class meeting is beneficial. It provides an opportunity to put a face to the instructor and become acquainted with the course logistics. All first-time distance education learners should be given a clear statement of course requirements in advance. Students require reliable technical support. Study guides, reviews and student manuals should be made available. Support for teachers is also essential. Finally, the role of student supports must also consider the special circumstances of the secondary school student, who can most often be described as unable to work independently and subject to the problems of procrastination. These students would benefit from supports provided at their local school in addition to the supports provided by the course instructor. The eighth predictor of a successful online program is technical infrastructure. The interface between learner and computer is one of the most neglected aspects of online learning. The infrastructure, sometimes referred to as the platform, must provide interactive elements, be aesthetically inviting, but most of all must be robust and stable. Another consideration, aside from the software, is the internet infrastructure available to the student. The ninth and final predictor of a successful online program is review. The program needs to be reviewed frequently. There needs to be a periodic review of the online learning initiatives, which ought to be done in collaboration with all of the stakeholders. In the absence of an independent review, a collective review should be constructed by a group of online providers. Online students have earned the opportunity to evaluate the program. Regular review creates an opportunity to begin the process of establishing new goals and a new vision in light of the experience gained during the previous initiative. If you recall, the third key finding from the article was that there are limitations with computer-mediated communication, such as emails, discussion forums, and online chat rooms. I'll expand on this now. Communication tops the list along with student supports as the two factors which most contribute to student attrition. Many studies suggest distance education, with its loss of community, is an obstacle to overcome, and many suggest that instructors need to give students timely feedback that is of a high quality. In addition to instructor-student communication, researchers also extol the importance of student-student communication to foster collaborative learning. The authors identified the following limitations to their article. Most of the published research on e-learning is based on distance learning models for tertiary education. In saying this, they did find that in general terms, the factors for successful tertiary distance learning initiatives can be applied to secondary school education equally. Most of the research is based in the United States of America, and most of the research occurred in the past decade. And finally, most of the research is based on identifying good practice as opposed to whether or not e-learning is a good way to help students learn. As stated earlier, the Ministry of Education in New Zealand have a clear vision for future-focused education. The only way I can see to implement this effectively is with the use of online distance learning. I found this article useful as it gave a good summary of the core ingredients required to set up my online distance learning module. My next step is to source articles with a New Zealand context. I will conclude my presentation with 2 questions for you to consider. Firstly, how would you address the limitations of computer-mediated communication, such as emails, discussion forums and online chat rooms, in online distance learning? Secondly, how do you envisage local learning centres being utilised effectively for online distance learners? Thank you for watching this presentation, and I look forward to interacting with you in the discussion forum.